So far, 7 outbreaks of coronavirus have been confirmed globally. As late as December 2019, humans have encountered a new coronavirus that has never been found in humans' body. Our knowledge of this virus is still sketchy. It has been named SARS-CoV-2. Home to 8 Nobel Prize laureates, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory is known as the birthplace of molecular biology. Dr. John Olson is a scientist at CSHL. In December 2019, he was teaching courses in Suzhou, China. Confronted with COVID-19, Dr. John Olson chose to stay.
Like initially I saw lots of things calling it the Wuhan virus. I'm really not in favor of that, right? Because these viruses can come from anywhere. Coronaviruses are in bat species around the world. My name is John Olson, and I'm the Education Director here at Cold Spring Harbor Asia DNA Learning Center. One of the things that was very surprising and amazing to me was how fast the virus was identified and sequenced. And if you look at a virus like HIV, it was years before the virus was identified. And here it was about 10 days from the time that people started getting sick till we had the actual DNA sequence of the virus. And then once it's identified and sequenced, we can move forward very quickly in our understanding. I think they have been open and transparent. I think a lot of the problem in the beginning was there just wasn't the ability to confirm if a person is or is not positive for this novel coronavirus, because there are other cold viruses out there and the influenza virus which can give similar symptoms early on. And so there was a sort of a bottleneck of the number of technicians that can do the testing, and then also the kits to be able to do the testing. And so it took time to start to get reliable numbers, but those numbers were being updated every day. And I think the information has been, clear and accurate as it can be.
Chinese scientists quickly released the genetic sequence information of COVID-19, and scientists across the globe began to work at full speed to develop vaccines and drugs to deal with it. But the spread of rumors was much faster than that of drug development. The most appalling rumors even said that COVID-19 came from the laboratory.
Anytime there's an outbreak, there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories and misinformation. It's unfortunate that some US lawmakers actually succumb to this misinformation and spread these rumors. They are not true. So my name is Dr. Amish Adalja. I'm an infectious disease, critical care, and emergency medicine physician. I'm from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and I work at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security as a senior scholar. This is an animal origin virus that's made its way into humans. There's no evidence that this was a manufactured virus. We don't believe that this is a lab accident or deliberate release from that laboratory. It's important the laboratories are kept safe, and we worry about that, but there's no evidence that this is the case, and it's not something that's widely accepted or thought about by the scientific community in the United States.
Will humans win the battle against COVID-19? Ammar Ibadani, a 41-year-old man from Yemen, is a doctor in Chuzhou Hospital in Zhejiang province of China. As a senior doctor who has been practicing for nearly 20 years, Ammar Ibadani has been paid close attention to the outbreak.
Actually, this battle is China and Chinese people are winning it for us, for the whole world. I am Ammar al-Badani. I'm from Yemen. This is in the ordinary time. And when it comes to the outbreak of an epidemic, I think doctors feels much more responsibility to do something in this battle. This is our battle. That's why I decided not to take any vacation. during this outbreak. Actually, you are safer in China during this outbreak. You're going to your country, and I believe there is no country such as China can defeat this coronavirus. And yes, all these guys, they have been feeling grateful to me during that advice, because they have actually witnessed, and till today they are really seeing how the numbers of the confirmed cases are decreasing. In EU, for example, we have like even more than 2 weeks with 0 confirmed cases, which means that we are fighting the COVID-19 in a very successful way. I have heard a lot of rumors in the social media, especially in the Facebook and Twitter, talking about the medical staff being forced to go to Wuhan and Hubei to fight against this COVID-19. That's not true, to tell you, my friends. I have seen a lot of competition between the colleagues. The people really want to be first going there. People really volunteered, and people really sacrificed. They have done a lot. They have left their families.
In 2003, the SARS virus ravaged China. Since then, China has accelerated the construction of a national disease control and prevention system. Chinese hope that the system will help them respond better, faster, and smarter to another attack. The sudden outbreak of the COVID-19 put this system to the toughest test, as well as China's governance system. Faced with the COVID-19 outbreak, China quickly formed a special group called the National Expert Group on COVID-19. Professor Lan Xue is a member of the group.
This expert group is an advisory body for fighting with the virus. And we have about 60 plus people from various fields. So we discuss various policy ideas, and then that will be provided to the national leadership to direct the country's fight with the virus. I'm Lan Xue. I'm a professor and dean of Schwarzman College at Tsinghua University. My research field is mainly on science, technology, and innovation policy, on crisis management, and global governance. For this particular outbreak, I think there's indeed there were missed opportunities at early stage. So I think that's something that we really have to examine more and to collect more information to see where exactly things have broken down and how we can fix that. I think that national system that we should make sure that anybody in tampering with that system is a violation of law. And I think the second issue that we may also want to think about how to fix the problem is we need to have a robust expert system to make the judgment, because I think early signs are always incomplete. So there's a lot of uncertainties, particularly with a new virus such as COVID-19.
In just 2 months, the COVID-19 outbreak spread from Wuhan to other provinces in China, becoming a major public health emergency with the fastest transmission speed, the widest infection scope, and the greatest difficulty in prevention and control since the establishment of the People's Republic of China.
On the contrary, to deal with COVID-19, this is the proof not for the failure, but for the vitality and the validity of the system we have. My name is Rexvi. I am currently pursuing an academic life, being a distinguished professor at Yanjing Academy of Peking University. Certainly we see some setbacks at the very beginning before we found the right path. But this is not a proof for the failure of China's governance of Chinese system. It is only a proof once again that China's political system, economic system, China's political setup is correct, is the right one, because it has the capacity to correct itself. If there is any shortcomings, any setbacks, it is very capable of correcting these things by itself, because it has the wide support of the people, and has a very strong, down to the grassroots, a very strong governance system in place.
The very different responses to the outbreak among countries with different social systems have aroused concerns and even led to debates about the best and the worst.
The bigger the problem, the bigger the challenge, the more effective, I think, relatively speaking, the Chinese government is, and therefore also that speaks well of the Chinese political system. My name is Martin Jakes. Until recently I was a senior fellow at Cambridge University. I don't think anyone who knows anything about China should be in the least bit surprised that China can construct 2 hospitals within 10 days or 2 weeks, incredibly short space of time. I mean, this is what the Chinese system is so good at doing, which is mobilizing resources and thinking ahead, thinking strategically. China will learn from the weaknesses of what happened, as well as the strengths of its subsequent achievement. And yet, in the West now, especially for example in the United States, so slow. And the testing is so weak, so narrow. There's no excuse for this situation, because this has been around now for, what, over 2 months. That's a lot of time. The Chinese never had. So I think that what's happened does not prove that the Chinese system is, deeply flawed or something like that. Okay, it does reveal that the mistakes were made. It does reveal that there were some weaknesses. But, the bigger the crisis, the more likely mistakes are to be made. Why? Because you've got to make it up, because you don't have perfect knowledge. And less excusable, in my view, are the mistakes that are now being made in the West, because they have had the prior experience of China to take into account.
In order to contain the spread of COVID-19, from 10 a.m. on January 23, 2020, Wuhan suspended the operation of city buses and subways, closed its airports and train stations. Citizens were asked to stay at home. Since then, other cities in Hubei province have taken similar measures. China has begun an urgent mobilization of national resources. More than 40,000 medical personnel from other provinces in China and the People's Liberation Army have rushed to Wuhan at an incredible speed to support overloaded local hospitals. Dr. Tang Tiantian is one of them.
In my opinion, we don't ask for praise because these people are our people. We do all the things to protect our people's interests, to protect our country. My name is Tang Tiantian. I come from Guangzhou, Guangdong province. I am an attending physician from the respiratory department of Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hospital. Our hospital has sent 151 medical staff to Wuhan. I will always remember a patient. He was a 65 years old man. On my shifts, I pay a visit to the bedside, and he suffered from hard breathing. We gave him the mask to help him to breathe, but the mask was not suitable for him. So he put his hand like this, means, oh, please help me, please help me. But he could not speak any words. He just put his hand like this. My colleagues and I tried to make him feel better with the mask, but it did not help. But during the whole thing, he will always do this. Did this. It means, yes, you help me. You help me at that time. Even though I feel very suffered, but you did help me. So I think I will always remember this old man. Another thing is our patients. Their optimism moved me very much, because they are the real hero. They face the virus directly as they fight this disease as their body as a battlefield. When I see them get better, I'm quite moved because they are so strong. My biggest wish now is to win this battle as soon as possible. So at that time, I can go back to Guangzhou to see my family, to hold them, to tell them, we win. Our country wins. I'm listening so much.
The lockdown of Wuhan City is equivalent to isolating an important urban transportation hub larger than New York City. And its scale is shocking. What happened to the citizens of Wuhan after the lockdown? Dr. Sarah Plateau described the experience as from fear to optimism.
I live in Wuhan since 8 years, and the things that I like most of Wuhan is not a thing, but are the people. I really love Wuhan people. I'm Dr. Sarah Plateau. I'm Associate Professor for Animal Behavior and Welfare at the College of Life Science of John Kai University. At the very beginning, like the first week of the outbreak, when everything closed down, of course I was concerned because how do I do the shopping? How do I buy things? But, for example, my university, they bought for us teacher a package of food in order to support us. I remember, for example, one occasion, and very, very nice. So the compound was sealed, and so I asked in the WeChat group of my building how to buy food. So I noticed that people start to talk in Chinese, say, hey, she's Italian, she needs, some spaghetti and sauce. After 20 minutes, my doorbell rang, and I was like, who is there? And there were these two of my neighbors, and they brought me some vegetables, some eggs, some food, and one of them also brought a nice note saying, Sarah, be strong, China will fix it.
天亮了，天公和众生一同醒来了，樱花在温暖的春风中飞扬，武汉，我们在等你。
This is a song written by Belgian musician Jean-François Malgine for Wuhan. He was originally invited to hold a grand concert in Wuhan, which was postponed because of the outbreak.
I think China did the best, and even maybe give lessons to other countries. No, it's not a lesson, but we have to follow them. I have heard a point of view, especially they said if I had the coronavirus, I would go to China to be cured. So I agree. My Chinese name is Shang Ma Long. I'm a musician. It's enough. I'm a composer. I'm a pianist, and I am from Belgium. We have to be united. It's said in my song by Robert Murray, one of the authors. You might think you're alone, but the word stands united, strong and brave with you.
The the invisible virus spread from one country to another country in an unstoppable manner. So far, COVID-19 outbreak has spread to all continents except Antarctica. Obviously, China is not the only victim of this disaster. What will humans do when this century plague sweeps the globe? Facing the virus, the common enemy of humans, somebody chose to complain, hate, and ignore everything, while others chose to fight together.
My understanding of this disease, I know that it's possible to stop, it's possible to win this battle. Because I'm in front line, I see the news, I know that they are fake news, but I do not take care of that. I'm Dr. I'm from Benin Republic in West Africa. My responsibility was to take to do the screening of the patient, to take the temperature of some coming patient, to register the case, the new case, or those who are on suspicion of the disease. What made me really deep impression about my colleague was most of them didn't see their family for nearly 1 month. It's really touching. Their doctor, their son, their mother, all are in their house. After that, when you see the medical personnel with the protective cloth, after 10 hours, more than 10 hours before getting out, you will see from the start with the facial mark all in their face. It's really touching. With the sweat, all these things, it's really touching. Chinese doctors give their life to save China. Virus doesn't know any country, doesn't know any races, doesn't know color. We have many viruses who appear in Europe, in Africa, and then this time it appears here. We don't have to give a country name to a virus. We have to be united as one to fight this virus. In 2014, it's true that Africa has a huge infectious disease called Ebola. And China was the first country who came to help Africa in that battle. So those are the staff who give me the motivation to say, if China, I know if it happened to my country, Benin, Chinese people, Chinese government should be the first country who support us.
At present, the death toll caused by COVID-19 has exceeded the death toll from SARS and Ebola, and its infectivity is far more than most viruses known to humans. COVID-19 brings not only death to humans, but also complaining, panic, and forcibly restricts human economic activities.
This is Neil Bush. I'm the chairman of the George Herbert Walker Bush Foundation for U.S.-China Relations. There are just so many stories that have impressed me about China's development. First of all, it'd be hard for me to criticize China's system that has been so successful over the past 40 years in achieving amazing goals of lifting people out of poverty, creating jobs, giving people opportunities they couldn't ever have imagined. Your country has done so much to keep the virus in China and to keep people from China catching the virus at the expense of your economy. And if this virus ever gets into the United States, it's hard to imagine the United States being able to muster the courage to say, okay, we're going to shut our economy down for like 4 or 5 weeks, because we don't want people to get sick.
The attack of an unknown virus outbreak in the science fiction Black Spring, written by the Japanese novelist Muniki Yamada, reads that if there is such a virus in the world, even if there are many dangers, even if it is only a futile struggle, I think humans will do their best to resist. In the spring of 2020, this is no longer science fiction, but the reality we are faced with.
I'm Marianne Fredericks. I am a Common Councilman in the City of London, and I am Chairman of the Health and Wellbeing Board. The speed that China has actually dealt with the issue has shown the rest of the world what we need to do. So we have seen with other countries that have seen a number of cases, they have taken the learnings from China and employed them. So the sooner we contain the virus, the less it will spread. It will show that we need to work together if we're going to solve the problems that we all face. So I hope that by coming together we will resolve more than just this issue. We'll hopefully address all the other really pressing issues that we face globally. We're all in it together. We are one people. We are one world.
From London to New York, from Tokyo to Singapore, from Beijing to Paris, all economic activities have been weakened by the sudden outbreak of COVID-19. This is not only a reminiscence of the Black Death that's sweeping the European continent in the middle of the 14th century, or the plague of 17th century London. It is feared that, like dominoes, COVID-19 will not only slow down the pace of the global economic recovery, but also destroy globalization. COSCO shipping is the important carrier to get through the lifeblood of the economic globalization. COSCO shipping ranks first in the world in terms of comprehensive capacity. How does such an industry giant, which is closely related to the global economic trends, perform in the globe when the COVID-19 is spreading?
The coronavirus outbreak is certainly have some impact for the global economy and the shipping industry. I'm Wang Haimin. I'm a Vice President of the COSCO Shipping Corporation. I can show that about 1,300 vessels is sailing around the world now. We worked 7 days, 24 hours, even under the severe situation, to guarantee these supplies on-time delivery. Up to now, we have transported more than 120,000 tons of medical supplies. Since February 10th, we have about 1,035 subsidiaries in China resume work. We believe when outbreak is fed, the demand will rebound rapidly. China's importance in the global supply chain and industry will not be undermined.
The WHO judges that COVID-19 is not only a super epidemic that spreads across the globe, but also a large infectious epidemic that might be controlled for the first time of human history. David Gossett, a French scholar living in Shanghai, agrees with this view. He also gives a long-term forecast of China's development.
Of course, we are China has been facing a very, very severe crisis, but this crisis is not going to fundamentally change the course of history. The Chinese Renaissance is here to stay, and it is going to change the world. My name is David Gossett. I have established the Europe-China Forum in 2002 in order to deepen the links between Europe and China. We have not only seen a resilient China because this coronavirus was a shock. The shock is being absorbed, and by the way, I expect a rapid recovery of the Chinese economy. And when you declare victory over such a crisis, you become stronger. This crisis will not affect the Chinese Renaissance. It might even accelerate the Chinese Renaissance.
According to the statistics from the International Monetary Fund, China's contribution to global economic growth has exceeded 30%. Professor Ian Golding is one of the most authoritative scholars on globalization. In his view, this epidemic has made the world realize China's huge influence in the global economy, and its engine is still full of power.
And very different to SARS in 2003, when China was only 3% of the world economy. Today, it's more like 18% of the world economy. I'm Ian Golding. I'm the Professor of Globalization and Development at the Oxford Martin School in Oxford. These risks, like we saw in the financial crisis, the super spreading or the financial crisis, cyber attacks and viruses, and we see the super spreading of pandemics. This is a necessary underside, underbelly of globalization, what I call in my book the butterfly defect of globalization. Globalization has been a force for immense progress in the world, including in China. It is the reason why China has grown so quickly over the last 30, 40 years, because it has opened up to the world and become part of the global economic system. What we're seeing now with the coronavirus is a shock to China and to the world. It will slow growth, but this will be a temporary phenomenon. I think we will see recovery, and in fact there might be even some higher level of growth as we catch up with what has not been done during the period where there's been quarantine and disruption to supply chains. So I do not see a disruption to the long-term trend.